Photoshop offers several tools and commands that provide different ways to retouch parts of a photo or even remove objects from a scene. The Content-Aware Fill command lets you remove objects by filling an area of a photo with other detail in the image. Let's check it out. Content-Aware Fill always begins with a selection of the area that you want to fill with surrounding image detail. In this image, I want to remove the photographer from the scene. You can use any of the selection tools to make the initial selection. I'm going to use the Object Selection tool because I know that it'll do a good job with this particular subject. With this tool active, I will drag to define a rectangular marquee around the object. And you can see that the tool has done an excellent job sensing what the object is and creating a selection of it. With the selection active, I'm going to go to the Edit menu and choose Content-Aware Fill. In the Content-Aware Fill workspace, the selected area is on the left and the area that's being sampled to create the fill shows as a green overlay. To the right of this is the preview of the result. And on the far right is the control panel with the sampling area options and the fill and output settings. I'm going to zoom up on the preview a little bit so we can see what's happening. There's an obvious dark fringe here, and the color inside the fill is not really matching the dune behind it. And this is because the initial selection was very precise, and some of those darker edge pixels along the shape of the photographer are being factored into the result. So we can fix that by coming over to the lasso tool in the Content-Aware Fill toolbar. And then up in the options, you can see that there are choices to expand or contract the selection. I'm going to leave this set to the default of 10 pixels, and I'll choose to expand the selection. And here you can see how that selection has been expanded to incorporate more of the detail around the subject. And in the preview pane, the result is greatly improved. In the sampling area options, the default is set to auto, and this method will use content that is similar to the area that is immediately surrounding the selection, and this is generally the best option to start with. And as you can see for this particular image, it's doing a really good job. The rectangular method will sample from a rectangular area surrounding the selection. So when I click on that, notice that more of the trees are added to detail that is being sampled. And that is creating an error by introducing part of a tree into the result. If neither the auto or rectangular options are working, you can use custom, which allows you to define the area that is being sampled. So let's explore that. I'm going to come over to the toolbar and choose the sampling brush, and I'm just going to begin to paint over the dune area to define that as detail to use to create the fill. And we can see the result there. Let me come down and add in some of the background here. And we'll get some of the area where the photographer is standing as well as some of that background detail. And there we go. That's already doing a really good job there. You can use the sampling brush tool with any of the sampling area options to modify the area that is being sampled for the fill. If you have multiple layers in your file and you want the Content-Aware Fill to sample from all of the layers instead of just the active layer, you can do this by clicking on the Sample All Layers checkbox. Below the sampling area options, there are some additional fill settings that you can use, and if you mouse over each of these, a tooltip will appear explaining what they do and what types of situations where they might be useful. Down in the output settings, you can choose to output to the current layer, a new layer, or a duplicate layer. I'm going to leave this set to new layer, which is the default. And when you are satisfied with the result, you can click OK to apply the Content-Aware Fill, and this will then return you to the main Photoshop workspace. Or you can choose to click Apply, which will apply the Content-Aware Fill, but leave the Content-Aware Fill workspace open. This is very useful if there are additional areas that need to be filled. I'll click OK here, and then come up to the Select menu and choose Deselect. In the Layers panel, you can see the new layer that was created by the Content-Aware Fill. And if I turn the visibility of that layer off and then on, you can see that it's doing an excellent job at covering the detail in that part of the image.